I want to hear how things are going with like the 7th album coming out. Like, how far along in the process are you?
Well, it was a really cool thing because the 7th record is, I always hear from the fans that they want to hear older stuff. So I went back with Ben Gross and Brian Lee's gang and Johnny and I kind of wrote, there was one song where I wrote just totally by myself called Your Bullets. And I spent a lot of time like kind of visiting the world of Short Boss and stuff like that. And then at the same time, I started working on a sound that I would be like the person that I am now. And it's extremely exciting. Omi Capella is this guitar player I ran into at like a Christmas party, and for BMG Chrysalis, and we just wrote this really bizarre song that doesn't have a lot of guitar in it, and it's not a lot of, it's very, I want to say it's industrial, but I can't really because it sounds like something new. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm calling it like new industrial. Like, because you can't say like new filter because people are like, well, what's that going to sound like? Because filter's so diverse.
Well, I love that you guys have never been able to fit into one genre box, which is amazing.
I think our record companies hate that. Like, I remember at Warner Brothers, there was a guy there that was like, well, why don't you just do like one thing and stay at that one thing? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, take a picture so weird compared to Hey Man Nice Shot, like you're confusing everybody. And I'm like, confusing? It's real simple. We're like the Clash. We do a lot of different styles, but we're still ultimately alternative, and that's where we live. You know what I mean? And so yeah, we've been, I mean, it would have been a lot easier for him if I grew my hair out long and did a 666 behind our drum kit and and played heavy metal. It would have been a lot easier to be conservative and play just heavy metal than to put out something like Take a Picture, but it wouldn't have been who we are. And we are a band that like we're not afraid to make something sound lush, even though the song itself is about a heavy, very heavy moment in my life. It's kind of in the glossy gooiness of this pretty song. So filter's very hard to define, and I think that's one of the parts of the band that I like the best. So this new record there's a huge step forward in what we're doing, and I think I don't want to be a band that's like stuck in a certain genre, and we've had guitars for so long that have been copied by so many bands, and they've even used like our engineer, like they've used Ben Gross. They've like there's so many bands out there.
So just to try and mimic.
Yeah, to mimic the filter guitar sound. So it's like after being at a certain point, it's like okay, everyone kind of forgot that we were the guys that did that first, and so we have to kind of step forward and go further away from that. So I don't want to have these dated guitar sounds in my music. Yeah. So we're being very, very explorative and creative with the guitar tone, if at all, if there's any guitar tone left. So
that's awesome. I think fans are always hungry for something fresh too. I think everybody's looking for something a little different. I think from a journalism perspective, we're always asked to be forced to put an artist in a box too, and I hate that.
Right.
Absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, looking at the band's legacy a little bit until now, it's like a heavy word a little bit, but was there ever a point in time that you didn't think that it was going to get this far?
No. I mean, for me, I live one day at a time. I live every day like, okay, what am I doing? Well, I've got to be creative. I've got to hang out with my kids. I've got to, I want to, I want to catch a movie. I want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I've always been working on a record, or I've always been going on tour. And I just don't see myself stopping anytime soon. This is our new drummer, by the way. His name is Chris Reeve.
Awesome.
He's awesome. Tell him where you're from.
I'm from Australia.
great. Well, how does it feel to be out on the road and everything?
It's great. It's a great way to see the country.
I can imagine.
Yeah, wake up every
Parking
morning.
behind a dumpster, every night behind
It's
the venue.
glamorous.
'Cause you're always you park the bus behind the venue when you show up to the venue, and it's like it's a dumpster. You're out there with the garbage.
Classy. That's great. So how's the chemistry with the lineup now?
It's great. It's like family now.
Yeah, no, I mean it's amazing. I mean, we have this girl bass player. Her name is Ashley Zarigian, and she's just this amazing. She plays with her fingers, and she has these acrylic nails on her fingers, and it's like a double strum.
Oh.
It's like they're flamming, and like it's like this massive. She's just got the.
I don't know how she does it with
Yeah.
acrylics. That's amazing. Most of the time, like you gotta take them off.
Just like playing. She's just like playing. Hey man, nice shot. It's just like. She's solid as hell, and he's an amazing drummer. And then we have Umi Capella on guitar.
I can't wait.
And that's going to be, Umi and I are actually going to go finish the record together. So, and he's a brand new person on the scene. So,
Nice.
yeah, it's cool. It's good. For me, Filter's a growing thing. It changes as the band changes, and for me, it's like if I work with the same people forever, it's just going to get to a point where it's not really growing and changing and thriving.
So, I mean, of the changes that have occurred in the music industry over the years, which one would you say has had the biggest effect on the way you approach recording, or you even approach the band in general?
Wait, what's that?
Like, of all the changes within the music industry we've seen
Oh,
over
yeah.
the years, how has it changed or affected your approach?
Well,
to
let's see.
things?
All right, so we had a hit that went to number 14 in 1996. We sold 1 million records. We had a hit that went to number 13 a couple years ago, and we sold 20,000 records. In 1996, 95, there were 2,500 people at Warner Brothers. There's about 20 left. So 2,500 people, 2,400 people are running around, selling real estate or not doing music anymore.
Exactly.
They're doing, and then all these other people. Then you've got the last of the presidents, and the last of the presidents of any record company are busy selling all the catalogs to Spotify for pennies on the dollar, or SoundCloud. And I'm just using those as examples.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they are, but so it's just a rat race. I think there's some amazing things that have happened. For instance, Pledge Music is actually on. 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't have been as big on it as I am now.
That's the one I'm hearing about.
Pledge Music.
Now.
Pledge Music is you pre-order the record, you get all these updates, you are right there when the band's making the record. There's a special line of stuff that goes just to Pledge Music. You get music first. There's all this, you can buy packages that I made a jacket that was just a leather jacket. It was like a leather jacket that I got from Diesel a long time ago. And right after 9/11 happened, I took safety pins and just safety pinned this huge flag on the back of my jacket, like punk rock style.
Yeah.
And I just forgot about it. I wore it for the record, Where Do We Go From Here, the record cover for the single, which is vinyl. And then I took the jacket and stored it away, and I was like, when am I ever going to use this or need this? And so I put it online and just made it available to a pledger, and someone bought it the first day. And so,
And people love that.
people
stuff.
love it. And so, all of a sudden it went from having to worrying about, how do you approach your label for more money? I mean, that's the thing. Salaries and studio time don't go down. The cost of living has gone up. So if you're Bieber, you're doing good. You're doing good in the music industry. But if you're a band that actually writes music from the ground up, like a band, and you don't have 1 million people doing it for you, you're hurting. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I'm like I was kind of working on an expose type article about Tidal, like the new streaming service for the artists, by the artists that Jay-Z just launched.
yeah, shit.
And I was trying,
Jay-Z, yeah.
look, I'm thinking about it, and I go, well, they're protecting their own assets right now, but how does it help a general touring band that doesn't, you know what I mean, that
Yeah,
doesn't
well, let me
have
tell you,
all that?
there's another thing about like the music industry that's really shitty is for the past 10 to 15 years you've had these game shows where you watch these people basically form these human beings that are the safest, you know, that's always someone who's got soul, cleanest, you know, clean cut singer. They're not allowed to be pitchy, they're not allowed to be, and so you've seen this, like, how you've been taught how to like pick singers that are just these like cookie cutter, safe, clean singers that sing about love. So on that hand, you know, when you watch The Voice or American's Idol and all this other stuff, people are like getting into this like really just bubblegum shit.
Or the grit is gone.
The grit is gone, and all the rough edges are cleaned out and smoothed, and what you're left with is like this, you know, it's like you're either talking about money and how much you have, you know, Jay-Z or P. Diddy or Kanye West, or you're talking about love. So there's two things you can talk about in music today. So any kind of social awareness, any kind of, you know, anything with a little bit of attitude is just pushed over into rock, and rock is just getting their butt kicked. And you know, it's disgusting. It's the shittiest form of music I've seen in a long time. I've been when I was a little kid, the Rolling Stones were the biggest mainstream band in the world, and they were the scariest too. Keith Richards would get blood transfusions in Switzerland, and you know, it was like,
Yeah.
Now P. Diddy, you know, picks on people when they accept their awards, you know, and is an idiot and is a fool, and we're just kind of like, you know, there's no, and that's the edge, is that this guy just says some stupid shit instead of, you know, someone bringing up the fact that we've had 2 wars. Now, Chuck D recently just said that how can these people bathe in this money that they all have when, like, we've had 2 wars and a big recession. You've got Ferguson out there. You've had, you know, there's obviously a lot of racial tension still from that. You know,
Well, I mean,
you've
that's
got
what I was saying. That streaming service he purchased was $54 million.
Right.
I was like, what could $54 million do?
It's
for
not going to
something,
the art. I guarantee
Exactly.
you, if they played my song 100 million times, I would not see more than $5,000 or $6,000.
And that's exactly the opinion. Like, you know what I mean? I've been talking to a lot of bands, like, about that, like, in the opinion of that, and, like, what they would actually see if it's supposed to benefit the artist.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, here we are, where we have, like, a really dominant fucking threat to the country, which is the 001% buying congressmen outright. And people like Scott Walker, people like, you know, just all these, you know, the Koch brothers are single-handedly going to put in $800,000 into the GOP coffers to control the country. And it's like, what the fuck is what's her face doing about it? What's I don't even know her name. Tammy Twain. What's her name?
Which one?
I don't know. The country singer who's now pop.
Shania.
No, not Shania
Taylor
Twain.
Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. What's Miley Cyrus doing about any of that? What could she possibly add to the conversation? You know, other than sticking her tongue out and fucking being a young kid and ridiculous, as well as Bieber and as well as all the other people.
Absolutely.
And so to me, when I think of Filter, and I think of, and you know, I take Filter seriously, but at the same time I have a lot of fun with it. But the amount of work that I have done behind the scenes, when I've gone to Iraq 4 times,
Yeah.
where I'd been running for my life during a rocket attack with every other Marine and every other person out there that was there that we were playing for. You know, I've been to Afghanistan. There was an attack there.
How much does that change your perspective on things?
Well,
to actually be over there.
It's just, if you take a look at the top 40, it's just an abysmal boy band, sensational, crappy bubblegum. It's like worse than where it was like in the 50s. Like, you know, like no one was allowed to say anything bad. No one was allowed to say anything that was, you know, going to pick on anything. And you're just in a spot now where it's just, it's just an abysmal, disgusting, like, bath of money and fake love. Rihanna, what's her new song? Bitch Better Have My Money.
Yeah.
Bitch Better Have My Money, sung by Rihanna.
Yeah.
I mean, they get stupider and stupider, and she, of course, she's in iHeartRadio, she's climbing out of a helicopter because, ooh, she's so fucking rich and cool and everything. It's just disgusting. It's filthy and tacky, and I'm over it, and I'm over it. And that's the thing. That's the other thing about the music industry that sucks, is the actual art itself is shit. Could you imagine if Neil Young came on, you know, the Voice and went, "Old man, take a look at my life, I'm a lot like you," he would be fucking kicked off in a second. If he, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Could you imagine if some young kid sounded weird and pitchy and strange, they'd kick him off in 5 seconds. You know, if he doesn't sound produced. You know, I mean, look at Pharrell Williams, Happy. That's really Happy. That's where we're at. Two wars, two fight. Like, there's nothing else you can think of to make money. You're just gonna placate, you know, everybody and tell them they're happy. And, you know, I guess my 4-year-old likes it. You know, my 5-year-old likes it. I'm really happy my 4 and 5-year-olds like it, but there's no danger, there's no edge, there's nothing left in music really other than what I call the new alternative, which is the old alternative.
Well, I think that rock tends to thrive now so much more in the live environment than it did before. I mean, because there's still so many fans that are coming out to shows and everything. 'Cause people will say rock is dead, but then you look around a concert venue or...
It's not stadiums.
No.
I mean, when I was a kid, it was stadiums.
Yeah. Now I think it's more festivals and then
Yeah.
like that. I mean, what's it like now to look out from the stage that used to be a sea of Lakers and now it's a sea of cell phone screens?
I'm the guy. See, now the millennial bands, like I went to a Jack White concert, and Jack had signs up saying, "Please don't take photographs. Stop watching the show through the little screen when it's actually happening in front of you." I think that's hysterical, because that's like me saying, "Pay for music." You know, like, pay for music. It's not free. We actually work on it. That is so. It's absolute. It's like, if people bring their phones and they want to get it, they're gonna do it and like accept it. So what I do is, when I see a cell phone, I'll grab the cell phone, take it on stage, produce a little mini video for them, walk around, like, get the drummer, get the bass player, get the guitar player, get a shot of me, go up, get a shot of me with the person that owns the cell phone, and hand it back, because I'm like, what's the point? If you want a video, I'll give you a video.
At least you're embracing it.
There's this place of acceptance that I have to go to. Like, right now, there's 2 things I accept. Music is shit, and people want to bring their cell phones to. And it's like, okay, well, I just accept those 2 things.
That's good. That's kind of unique though, because so many of them play against. They're like, if I see one more of my face, I'm gonna kick the shit.
Doesn't matter. You know, like, there's this thing where like people like do this thing where like, can I get a picture? And they do this thing and it's on video.
Yeah.
I'll just take the camera and say, hey, this is Richard. You're at our concert. What do you remember feeling from that concert? You know, like getting right into
Welcome
their
to my
face.
show.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like doing, like, going with the flow is so much a part of this. And you know, that was the cool thing about last week, because we started the Pledge Music campaign, and it was just like, damn, we can get a lot of work done here, and we can pay some people, and do this right and mix a record and produce a record with the right approach, and it's all fan based. And it's all, so that was actually a really nice little thing that I found last week when we started this thing. And, you know, and then to roll with it, you know, with cell phones and cameras. And to, obviously, my punk rock state of mind is to hate all music that, like, really is shitty. And I'm old enough to really know what's shitty and what's awesome. Like, I think there's so many great bands. Tycho is an amazing band. Tycho is truly a very creative band. There's a lot of EDM stuff I like. They're pressing forward. That's why I think the new record's so much more electronic.
Okay.
But, you know, there's a lot of great things happening in music. It's just not, it hasn't been approved by Simon and, you know, whatever, of Disney.
I almost look at EDM as being like a version of like almost like a new hippie movement, because I feel like the peace, love, and unity is
It's so weird though, because
like, it's, you know.
But see, the thing is I mean, like the first place I think of when I hear EDM is the Vangelis soundtrack for Blade Runner, which came out in 1979. You know, and so I hear that in all this new stuff, and it's really truly just, it's never gone away. I mean, dance music, club music has never gone away. There's been some shittiness around like Miami. The Miami dance scene, or South Beach dance scene is terrible.
Sorry, he's from Miami.
That's all right, but I mean, some of that stuff is kind of creepy. But I definitely like a lot of bands like Sigaros and stuff like that actually, you know, they're not EDM necessarily, but they're very instrumental and stuff like that. So there's a lot of great music out there.
It's great.
Yeah, there's a lot of great music out there. It's just, you know, it's just what's huge in America is just, I think it's just revolting.
Me?
Yeah, you got any questions?
I do.
I feel like I'm high.
Just, you
I had
know.
another puff from my ventilator.
Yeah.
By the
go
way,
for it.
if you want to sing 15 shows in a row and you have a really high range, Mount Baker juice is fantastic. I strongly recommend it. I don't know, there's something about, like, because they give you, the first thing they tell you in like vocal, like, you know, ear, nose, and throat guys are like, get a cold mist humidifier.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what this is. And so I do this, and for some
one,
reason,
I can't. It makes me cough.
well, you gotta get used to it.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I want to stop smoking, but I can't.
Definitely healthier
Yeah.
than cigarettes. My wife hates it. But I'm just like, if you get an American company that's really good, like Mount Baker, for the fine taste of e-juice. And then there's, yeah, I don't know. But this, it helps. I sing, I'm going to sing 7 shows in a row coming up this week, and it'll be like nothing.
Nice.
My wife always says knock on wood and don't get cocky, but out of respect for my wife, I carry on that tradition, that superstition, but I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of that, but I do believe that science has found a way for addicts to, what, you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
For being able to just do something crazy.
Smells good too.
How good is he at drums? Let's talk about him for a minute. Best drummer we've ever had.
When did you first discover a love for drums?
Probably 3-4 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I got
Were you the
photos of,
kid
like,
banging on the pots
The
and
pots
pans
and
in the
pans
kitchen?
was, yeah.
Watching like Kiss videos of the endless.
That's it.
How supportive were your parents with it?
They were great. Yeah.
You grew up on like a ranch.
I wish.
Yeah, you farmed kangaroos.
Farm
Farm
kangaroos.
kangaroos.
That's it. I raised my own. Yeah.
Did you have a little pouch for it too?
I did. I lived right here. It's just,
Yeah, Chris represents the spirit of the live band where we're at, and he's actually, you know, as long as Pledge Music keeps kicking its kicking its ass like it is. I think we're going to stick them in a really decent studio and record them for the new record.
Nice.
There's just undeniable talent throughout the new folks that I've been playing with, and that's what I do. It's like I'm always exploring. And the other thing was Chris was kind of stuck in Perth, and we had to get him out here, and he should see what the American music scene's like, and that was another thing.
Is there anything that was surprising to you?
The American scene?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how small it was in terms of everybody knows each other out here. Everyone knows everyone in every other band somehow.
Yeah, I've always thought it's like a class reunion,
Yeah.
when they come out to things.
Yeah.
That's one of the things with Filter. It's kind of like it's important for me to expose my creative side to new people, because there's so many great new ideas, and that's something I learned from Trent. That's something I learned from Prince or Tom Petty or any of the kind of main guys that and since day one it was two guys. It was me and Brian in a rented house in Cleveland, Ohio, with a big computer and some guitars and a bunch of beer. And that was our first record, Short Bus, with all fake drums. We didn't know, we didn't care.
Yeah.
We just wanted an end result. And so from there, it's just, Filter's been a band that evolves and changes and grows. And luckily, my fans, they're the greatest fans in the world. They trust me, and they know that I'm always going to be working with the best people. And this literally is one of the best versions, if not the best version of the band. And I've had amazing musicians work with us, from Johnny Radke to Jeff Fab, a lot of really Jeff Friedel, who works a lot with Perfect Circle and does a lot of stuff with Devo and stuff. Josh Freese played on a Filter record. There's been John Five, who's a guitar player. I mean, there's our best of record. The original artwork that you got with the first 60,000 was a page this long of 21 people that have been in Filter at one time or another doing the recordings.
I'm sure that each person's kind of sparked your creativity, as a whole.
Oh, yeah.
We're all looking a different way.
Well, I did that for the other bands that I've been in. I've been noted as, an influence by the live band. It was about as much credit as I got from one of them, but I still believe that it was a big thing for me to change something in that band. So, how many questions you got, man?
Yeah, one or two. Do you think getting into the groove now with Filter and playing these live shows on tour, is that gonna help you feel more comfortable come studio time for the new record?
Definitely. Yeah. The band's got a feel. But I mean, with the guitar player Umi, I've been playing with him for 10 years anyway.
Yeah.
Back home in Australia. So he and I are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another great thing, because we've already started writing. Umi and I started writing. This is, I don't mean to, the song that we wrote together, my dad died in the process. We wrote the music, I went off, and my dad died, and then I came home, and the first thing out of my mouth was "Take Me to Heaven," because there was a moment when my father was dying where he kind of looked at me, and he was at the very end, and he wasn't really. And he looked at me and he looked gratified, and I never realized how blue his eyes were. So I wrote this down really quickly, and it comes from a place of authenticity. But with Umi, he was programming the drums on the computer based on what Chris would do. You know what I mean? So there's all this mixing creativity that it's let's just put him and get him in a kit and in a real studio and mic him and do the full-on drum sound, because if he's programming drums like Chris, you know what I mean, based off of their experience. So there's tons of amazing things that are happening just because people are new to me. Just because the experience is new. And that's the thing. I think newcomers, for me, keep me new and keep me inspired, because I don't want to be one of these bands that's we're going to pull out I don't want to be wearing purple shirt, or purple shorts, like some guy, like the guy in AC/DC. I don't want to be that guy having to play that guitar, jumping around in purple shorts, at the age of 65. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be wearing Kiss makeup or a fucking rubber mask until I'm fucking 65. I want to grow and change, and that's what my idols did, and that's what I've always wanted to do, like, you know, Joe Strummer.
You were talking a lot earlier
Is that
about
mic gonna pick up that kick drum?
I think we'll be okay. It's directional.
Okay.
You were talking earlier, you know, about kind of the way the music scene is now, and like the top 40, it's just so bland and sugar coated, and kind of this is what it's
The
supposed
top
to
40
be.
is bland, sugar-coated, and safe and stupid. It's actually stupid.
And you also said that there's just, why is this how it is when there's so much to write about? Like you said, 2 wars, a recession, Ferguson, all this stuff going on. Is it safe to say that you might try and be a little more dangerous lyrically on the new album?
My lyrics have never strayed from bashing everything. There's an entire record about the dangers of religion and government theologies. The Trouble with Angels is an entire record about how Christians tore down the fucking place. I mean, they murdered thousands of people in the Inquisition. Slavery, up in 150 years ago, we had black people in the name of the Bible. Because if you look at Leviticus, the same part that says man should not sit together or not sleep together with man, it's also, that's like the paragraph right next to it is be nice to your slaves. And then there's another paragraph right underneath that that says you can sell your first daughter into slavery, but you can't, but you should keep your second daughter. And like, it's just insane shit. And that's the Bible. That's the Christian Bible right there. So, I mean, religion is horrendous for the human condition. That's why I'm such an atheist.
Do you ever have a hard time getting yourself in and out of the headspace? Like when you're writing, you write about a lot of heavy subject matter all the time. How hard is it for you to come back out of that?
It's like that. I've been studying method acting for a long time, and
I never thought about it that way.
yeah, I had to get back into touch with the angry kid that he was a drunk and out of his mind, and there's something reckless and belligerent and dangerous about my early writing. So I'm carrying that kind of attitude and that kind of insanity into the new writing. It's just that I'm a better writer now, so things rhyme a little bit easier and stuff like that. But excuse me.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
I hear a kick drum.
for
That's the
taking
problem
time
with
out.
doing interviews, not on the bus. If we were on the bus, we wouldn't have any of this shit. We'd be fucking like, we'd be chilling. We're at the venue. That's the problem.
But yeah, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with me. What is
Do you want to talk more because you haven't had a lot of time?
I'm good. I mean, it was a lot of the same, you know, questions that I would have had, and so we wanted to double up, save some time. But
Are you gonna chop this down at all, or?
Yeah, I'll probably cut it a little bit.
Okay. Make sure you highlight my boy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you.